Hey sim racers, you want to drive this?
Are you ready to go from sim to reality? Podium eSports is proud to present the Canadian F1200 Championship. Beginning January 19th, this 4-round series will hit the track at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park using the Formula V car for 3 20-minute sprint races and a full hour of wheel-to-wheel, pedal-to-the-metal, heart-pumping action. For just $50 Canadian, you too can have your shot at the grand prize of a test session behind the wheel of a real F1200 car at the Toronto Motorsports Park. Don't miss out. Head to podiumesports.com today to register.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome here to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for round number 1 of the Canadian F1200 eSports Championship. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me tonight in the booth is Daniel Zippy Salmon with Cameron Obernon working our social media here tonight. Tonight, we kick off the Canadian F1200 eSports Championship with the first of 4 rounds of high-intensity, wheel-to-wheel sprint racing action with the end goal of taking a driver from sim to reality and putting them behind the wheel of a real F1200 car later this year. Zippy, CTMP is a track loaded with history and winners such as Jackie Stewart, Dan Gurney, AJ Foyt, Mario Andretti, and of course the legendary Ron Fellows. And tonight we write a new chapter in that history. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the racetrack and some of the challenges that our drivers are about to face?
Well, Robert, is an absolutely legendary racetrack, certainly to those of us in Canada and lucky enough to be there. So it's quite an interesting track as well. There's not the most of corners. We've just got 10 turns in total, but it's quite a high-speed track. And I say that even with it being like the Formula V that we're going to be using on iRacing tonight, it's just short of 4 kilometers. But these cars generally do 200 kilometers an hour on the Mario Andretti back straight. But the big thing we're going to see is it's the first round of the season. We're going to see very shortly the first race as well. You know, we're going to start to get a feel for the people who are, like, you know, part of this series. You know, we're going to see who's going to be the people to watch. Obviously, we've got people like Brandon Hawkin in here. He's rocking an absolutely mahoosive 7600 IR. We've got another couple as well to watch. We've got my eyes on Alu Gobi as well. And Stephen Vavayan, I've seen this guy race before. So definitely some people to watch. And certainly as well, you know, we're going to start to see like the racing dynamic, you know, like how big is the draft battle going to be and how many cars wide are we going to see going in. I'm thinking especially turn 8, I can see there being 3, if not 4 of these cars side by side.
Good night of racing here tonight. A field of 19 cars look to make the start, so a nice opening round for this series. Eugene and his team have put a lot of work into getting this together for us, and I'm really excited to be able to bring this action to you folks here all season long. So Zippy, we did originally plan to have 3 races of 20-minute length per evening, but that did have to change due to some of the concerns with the fuel capacity of these cars. So now we're down to 3 15-minute sprints rather than that full hour of racing action. But nonetheless, it should be one fantastic series. And like you mentioned, guys like Brandon Hawkin up at the top of the charts. He's very quick here tonight and looks to be one of the guys to beat.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as I look at, like, don't get me wrong, some people, they don't do the official races that iRacing puts on, and, the iRating is like an absolute wolf in sheep's clothing, like a Lou Gobi 1265 IR. I mean, that's less than what you start with, but, I mean, it just goes to show as well, it's not everything, and we're certainly going to see that tonight. I mean, for me, the results, it comes, the result is the result. It's not over just because somebody's got, like, a high IR or anything like that, and especially where the draft is such a big contributor to these cars as well. I mean, they're not got the most power, probably one of the lower powered vehicles in the sim. It comes down to, grip and managing the grip that you do have. I mean, these are radial tire cars, this is not exactly, running on a set of Hoosiers, set of slicks. It's really, you versus the limited grip available, and not only that, versus the track as well. You really got to be very precise, in order to maximize that exit speed and maximize that momentum. You don't have oodles of power to just kind of, give you that safety net.
That's exactly it. And you mentioned the I rating not necessarily being a big contributor to who's going to be the fastest driver. The thing with the iRating and your licensing on the iRacing simulator is it's very dependent on how much official racing you do. So if you're not doing a ton of official races, you're just running a couple here and there, your main priority is league racing such as this, you're not going to have that high iRating. So you may see some guys come out and surprise you, or female drivers as well, as we do have a couple of those in the field tonight that will be definitely looking to show up some of the gentlemen out here on the racetrack.
Oh, for sure. I mean, personally, it doesn't matter, what gender you are at all.
That's exactly
I'm looking forward as well. We got the Formula One, the women's series coming out soon, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I think that's going to be absolutely fantastic. But let's concentrate on these F1200s. I don't know about yourself, Robert, but I've driven this car a little bit in the sim, not as much as I probably should have done. And generally, I've always enjoyed it. I find it makes for very close racing. It's a car that can be quite accessible, but it's also a little bit tail happy. You can make the back end on this dance quite a little bit, but not as aggressively so as like the Skip Barber Formula car. Like, what could you add to that there?
This car definitely does contribute a little bit of rear end looseness and quite a bit of great wheel-to-wheel action. We're going to see that all throughout the night here tonight. You're going to see the driver step over that edge a little bit too much, but you're also going to see some great drafting. Eugene has told us numerous times that the drafting is going to be very, very important out here on the racetrack. And of course, we're talking about Eugene Cartini, the guy in charge of the series here, and he's really, really excited about what this series is going to offer over the next 4 rounds.
Absolutely, and the good thing as well for anybody, if you've not entered like a privatized, what's the best word I'm looking for here, Robert? By all means, sum it up in just a second. But basically, it's an organized league. It's not the iRacing officials. This is like privately organized, privately funded, and for those of you, who maybe you're just starting out in the sim, this would be a great like stepping stone, certainly. And if not, I mean, it's got something for everybody, right? If you're just getting into the sim, you've got the Formula V, which is a free car, and you've only got to buy the one track, and that is Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, which realistically is one of the best tracks in the sim as well. I mean, you'd be crazy not to want this, and we use the same track for the 4 rounds of the season. So not only will you get a chance to come in, learn a car, learn a track, and perfect it, you'll also get to like have a go with your racecraft, and you'll be able to actively see see yourself improve. Because say you get 15th place is your best result for the first round. Okay, that's fine. Save the replay, watch it, study it, see how these people being quicker, because it's also a fixed setup series as well. So everybody is in the same car.
That's exactly it. And each race night, like we mentioned, you have 3 races to get out there and do your thing. So if race 1 goes bad, don't worry, you still have 2 more shots that night. But just a quick note here of our schedule. Tonight is round number 1, January 19th. Next round will be in, I believe it's 3 weeks time, February the 9th, then March 1st, and we'll wrap it up March 22nd, which should be a couple of great races here on the Podium Esports channel. And just so you know, the formatting as well, this is a fixed setup series with a rolling start. Each driver will have 1 fast repair, meaning if they decide that Well, not necessarily decide, but if they destroy the car, they're going to have a bonus car sitting on pit road ready for them to jump back in and get back out there. So your race is not quite over if you get some damage in the early going.
For sure, it's definitely nice having that other car, but where it's a 15-minute race as well, the end of the day is it's pretty much going to be the end of your race, unless the whole field wipes out, which
of course
I'd like to say it's not going to happen, but I could definitely believe it. You know,
you never know.
Oh, for sure. You really don't. Anything can happen here. And certainly, we're just getting to the end of qualifying now. We've got about 3 minutes left to go. Currently, as we're standing, Alu Gobi is currently in first right now with a 140.203 ahead of Samuel Bilo. I'd say that was right. Samuel Bilo with 146.387. Third, Brandon Hawkin with 141. 141 flat. So as I look through the field as well, there is a lot of 141s, and I just apologize. I just read the last laps. My mistake. Rookie error there.
That is quite all right. As you do see out on the racetrack now, that is Alu Gobi in car number 1, and car number 1 is the vehicle at the top of the standings here in qualifying. Looks like she's gonna fall to the rear of this pack, see if she can get another drafting lap, as we have about 6 cars out there trying to run together. We may see some quick times in the last 2 minutes or so of qualifying. All but 3 cars in this field are out on the racetrack right now, Zippy. So we might see a bit of a shuffle towards the tail end of this qualifying session.
Oh, that is the beauty of using the open qualifying setup. And as Eugene was saying, certainly we did a podcast about it as well. I'm sure it's going to be out very soon if it isn't already, but they're just basically trying to replicate the race weekend. So if I remember correctly, by all means fill me when I'm wrong, they had like a practice and qualifying on a Friday, race on Saturday, I think another race the Sunday afternoon, the Saturday afternoon, and a race Sunday morning, if I remember rightly. I'm sure Eugene can 100% catches up on that, but by having that open qualifying format, it's just keeping it authentic, you know, to what this is about. And this is more than just a sim racing series. This is an opportunity to get behind the wheel of a real race car.
That's exactly it. And Zippy, I do just want to point out here on the bottom left corner of the screen here tonight, there is a QR code. Why don't you tell us a little bit of what that QR code will redirect the viewers to?
So this is the beauty of modern technology, and I'll be honest, it's a bit sophisticated for myself, but I believe if you happen to whip out your cell phone, don't get me wrong, I'm sure a lot of people are playing on their phone anyway. I'm guilty of such actions. But if you whip out your phone, actually, I'm going to try it now while we're live on the stream. If you whip out your phone and you put it on that QR code, your phone, in theory, should be able to get a picture of that. Okay, it's working. I've just clicked it. And that will take you to the fundraising page for Top Gun Racing. Now, what that is all about is basically, so Top Gun Racing is actually my iRacing team. And for Daytona 24-hour, for the past 4 years now, this is my 4th year of doing it, I've actually did a fundraiser for Cancer Research Institute. So it's just for a great cause. If you've got a bit of spare change, anything like that, any donations, they're all welcome. Just hit that QR code down there, and by all means, support us. We're actually going to be doing a 24-hour race tomorrow. So it will be streamed as well, but we'll get into that more at a later date. And yeah, click that link, and if you've got any donations, by all means, send it. But thank you very much as well. But let's get into the grid order. Rob, please carry on, sir.
Yeah, looks like qualifying has just wrapped up. The drivers heading to the grid. You can see the iRacing.com pace car right there. And rolling off from the pole here tonight, like you mentioned, Alu Gobi going to roll off in position number 1. Alongside her on the front row is Samuel Bilo in car number 21. Row 2 is Brandon Hawkin in the 99 alongside the 98 of Zen Carr, which I must say is by far my favorite name in this race. Christopher Chung in row number 3 in car 55 alongside the 73 of Stephen Verwayn. In row 4 here tonight, George Griffiths in the 25 machine alongside the 45 of Patrick Alex. And rounding out the top 10 is Spencer Rietzma in the 191 machine alongside the 22 of Joshua Peters. Zippy.
In 11th place, we got Kyle Maher in the 78th car. And where's it gone now? Keith Stein in 12th. Alongside, behind him, is Joe Nagy. That sounds like a familiar name. In 13th, with Scott Outram alongside in 14th. Joseph Yang. Now, this guy is actually a real engineer for race cars, and I believe it's a I know it's an F car. I don't know if it's a 1200 or a 1600. Here, Mike's expecting to see good things from him. Doug Meadows, he's alongside in car number 7 and 16th. Give me a second here. Danius Ramanuskis, I do apologize if I butchered your name, sir. He is there in 17th with Eugene Cartine alongside in 18th with Dennis Barkhouse in 19th as they go on the pace lap now behind, I believe that is a Porsche 911 for the pace car.
I do believe that is a Porsche 911 pace car leading them here, getting set to go to that green flag. Once again, this will be a 15-lap race, and we will have 3 of these tonight. So the pace car already making their way to pit road, and we are green. Alu Gobi out to the early race lead ahead of Samuel Bilo as we have a shuffle towards the rear. Keith Stein goes around already. Let's take a look and see what just happened there to Keith Stein to bring out the, not bring out a caution, but unfortunately end up off in the grass. You can see right there, actually starts ahead of Keith Stein. A couple cars just get bent out of shape. Yeah, right there, Keith Stein goes off.
Cold tires, I say, all the way. That short pace lap, having just done qualifying. You know, they're expecting the car to drive a certain way, and then all of a sudden you go potentially like flat out through a corner, and the grip just isn't there. The tires are not up to temperature, but at the minute the pack is still pretty close together. Gobi is there in first, but starting to pull away a little bit of a gap ahead of Brandon Hawkin. Currently about half a second now, but the thing is that gap is going to slowly disappear as they go down the straight. Now, the trick is going to be, if you can make a gap, you have to maintain it, because as these guys draft together, you can see they're getting a couple of packs already. They will actually start to accelerate and regroup once again. The beauty of these vehicles.
That's exactly it. These drafting that these drivers are able to get is very strong, as Brandon Hawkin actually makes a pass on Alu Gobi for the race lead heading into the final sets of corners here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. What a work of the draft there by Brandon Hawkin to get ahead of Alu Gobi. Gobi, of course, the pole sitter here tonight, quickest in practice as well. But now Brandon Hawkin, one of the drivers that was expected to be very quick in this series, has taken that early race lead about 2 minutes into today's first session.
Well, it's still early days yet. I mean, they've just gone and completed lap 1, but as you can see there, we've got a pack of 4 cars starting to pull away a little bit of a distance here. Now, if you're in the pack behind, the question is, do you work together, or do you basically try and, you know, just fight for every position that you've got? I mean, there's got to be 7 or 8 cars there alone. Certainly, if I'm Gobi, okay, you could go ahead, but I think I'm probably going to try and stick behind Hawking for a bit longer. You know, I'm potentially, with this being the first race, I'm going to go and try and see if there's certain positions on the track where, okay, this is where I need to pass here to then be in front across the start finish.
That's exactly it. Is we do ride on board here with Alu Gobi. You can see these drivers have free range of their head. They can see absolutely anything out there on the racetrack. No car body windshield getting in their view, as we do have an incident with Joseph Yang. He's going to get it battled back out here onto the racetrack. Let's take a look and see what happens here to Joseph Yang. Looks like the car ahead of him just disappears. He locks up, gets into the back of them with a little bit of netcode there. The unfortunate side, of course, Zippy, of eSports is, well, there's an internet connection involved, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way.
It can definitely happen. Generally, iRacing is pretty good. I know I used to play some games where you'd literally, it was when you were having like a shooting battle, you would lead aim, and if there was like a 300 ping, you'd be aiming like almost like a quarter of a car length ahead of them. I say a car length is in a shooting game, but you know, I just wanted something that we could reference here. But as you can see here, Hawkin has now been taken by Alu Gobi, and I don't think this battle's going to be over yet. They're certainly going to get a feel of the track. You can see Chung and Bilo behind them, and then you've got a gap there before. You've got Vivian, Griffiths, Carr, Peters, Alex, Maher, and Nagy all together. So basically, top 11, you've got 2 real packs kind of homologating together. What's the word I'm looking for?
I've never heard the word homologating, but it might be a word.
It is now. You heard it here first, ladies.
Homologated.
Homologated. You get homologation, which is, you know, you've got to build so many cars to minimum to.
Look at the smoke coming off the back of these cars as they lock it down, trying to get into some of these higher speed corners. Looks like Steven Verwey, oh, he's gone way off into that outside wall. He's going to nose it in there, but he's gathered it back up and will continue on. So unfortunately for Verwey, did get a bit of contact. Doesn't look like the car's in too rough a shape, but you mentioned it earlier. You lose those positions and you really have to battle back, as now we see a battle brewing for that second spot. Gobi, Chung, Bilo, and Hawken actually all under a blanket here for those top 4 spots, as Gobi all over the rear end of Brandon Hawken here. We'll see if Hawken is able to hold off Alu Gobi as they work their way around this racetrack. And Zippy, I don't know if you've ever been here before, but this is a very cool racetrack.
It's certainly on the wish list of places I want to go. Calabogie, I have been lucky enough to go to, and I believe they actually take the F1200 series there as well. They do. Certainly, I know they go to Shannonville, but that's sadly not yet on the iRacing sim. Greg Rest, if you're listening, there's a subtle hint for you there, sir. But this battle is definitely not over yet. And if I look at the iRating as well, so you've got like the full box of quality straight at this point. You've got the 7636 of Brandon Hawken, 1265 of Alu Gobi, who I believe actually normally frequents Assetto Corsa, I understand. Christopher Chung's rocking 1277 and Samuel Bilo 1767. And that just goes to show what a beautiful series this is going to turn out to be. You know, the iRating doesn't count for much. You are getting wheel-to-wheel racing here, live action on Podium Esports.
Now, of course, these drivers also will get an opportunity. The champion will get an opportunity to go and test one of these Formula 1200 cars at the Toronto Motorsport Park at some point later this year. And the club is also offering a prize to the second and third place driver in the standings of a subsidized test day. So very cool opportunity. Eugene goes into a little bit more detail on that on the podcast that we recorded earlier this week. Like you mentioned, should be out at some point, as we do see a battle here. It's Griffiths, Carr. Well, we're actually 3 wide. Carr, Peters, and Griffiths. Wow.
Oh, and they actually made it round as well. I thought that was going to be an absolutely, you know, who let the fox in the hen house at that point. But it just goes to show they've gone and kept it together, and are actually surprised and impressed at this point. You know, I've certainly seen many. Aggressive move down the inside by Hawken.
Brandon Hawken makes it work. I've personally had a battle here in an sim race, an esports endurance race, alongside Tony Kanaan, the IndyCar winner. And that was one heck of a battle we had into turn number 1. And Hawken and Gobi, they just matched it and might have beat that battle that we had. What a fantastic move by Brandon Hawken to get by Alu Gobi. What a race these drivers have put on so far, and we're actually halfway through this first session already, which of course, like we mentioned, 15 lap sprint races, as now we have a 3-car battle for second, as Hawken has pulled away a little bit. It's Gobi, followed by Chung and Bilo battling for second, third, and fourth, but they're going to try to close that gap once again up to Brandon Hawken, who has an 0.8 of a second lead over Alu Gobi.
Well, here's the thing. So we've already seen that you can gain about half a second going down the straight. Now, draft is a fantastic thing. If you get more of you together, though, it depends on where these drivers are focused. What is the goal? You know, if they work together, don't get me wrong, I don't think you can bump draft in these cars, and I certainly wouldn't be comfortable trying it. But, you know, if they fight more and more, it's just going to give Hawken an opportunity to run away. You can see now the gap has closed down to 0.2 of a second, under 0.2. See, side by side, Gobi and Chung, Bilo trying to get a little bit of a sniff in there as well as they go around the S's, heading towards White's Corner now. That's through the end of the S's. Now White's Corner turn 10 before they head down the start-finish straight. Order stays the same. That's just for now. There's still 6.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, 6.5 minutes still remaining. The driver's doing lap times of about 1:40. So still 4 or 5 laps remaining in this one for these drivers. Lots of action still to come. Brandon Hawken now has company once again, as Alu Gobi going to close that gap up about 0.2 of a second between first and second out here on the racetrack. And these drivers continue to show the strength that they have as we watch this battle for the lead, focusing in here on Alu Gobi. Once again, we're going to hop back in car. As you can see, Gobi working the steering wheel, trying to catch up to the rear end of Brandon Hawken, taking advantage of a little bit of that draft here as we head off to one of the more technical parts of the racetrack. It's very important to nail this portion as you want to set yourself up for a nice run on the Andretti straightaway, which can be a great opportunity to make a pass using advantage of that draft.
I think Gobi's actually going to be close enough now to make a good run at Hawken. There you can see there the gap about 2/2600ths of a second there. I apologize, I do have a cold, ladies and gentlemen. I don't normally sound quite as manly as this. You can see there Gobi's got the edge, but they're on the outside right now. Are they going to swing over and defend, or is Hawken going to just go, okay, you know what, they can take this lap? But you see, look at Bilo coming up the back.
Wow.
Just about got the nose on the back wheel there of Hawken, and not quite enough. Certainly, you got to plan where you're going to pass, because all right, you can force a side-by-side, battle. As you can see there, Gobi going a bit wide there. That is definitely going to be a 1x off track, but thankfully they kept it all in order. Turn 1, Gobi, Hawken, Bilo, Chung, he's dropped back now 3 seconds behind, and then the field again further spreading out. Another battle happening between 5th, 6th and 7th, but the main action right now is the top 3. Car 1, 99 and 21, Gobi, Hawken and Bilo.
Yeah, Alu Gobi's done a really nice job here, but here comes Hawken and Bilo trying to make a pass, looking like they were thinking about 3 wide. Now we're going to go side by side for that second spot. It's Hawken and Bilo. Bilo gonna take advantage. Actually, Hawkins, where he takes advantage on that right side. Bilo off here on the left. Nearly contact there as Hawken and Bilo close in on each other like an accordion. Hawken able to charge through the corner, gets the advantage over Bilo. Bilo now gonna fall back into position number 3 as Hawken trying to set up the run here towards the rear end of the Alu Gobi machine with about 3.5 minutes remaining. 3.5 seconds. We be coming to the checkered, but 3.5 minutes to go. And here comes Hawken. He's going to driver's left. We'll see if he's able to make the pass here on Alu Gobi. Gobi gonna try to charge back, see if she can take advantage, but here comes Samuel Bilo, Zippy.
Oh, I thought that was going to be over. You see Gobi defending that inside line there. I'd say there's probably more than one defensive move. Certainly something we'll keep an eye on for you as well. I don't know exactly on how much you're allowed to defend within this series, but certainly, if you do it too much, you probably will get a little bit of attention you're maybe not looking for. But as we cross the line now, the order has once again changed. Hawken, Gobi, Bilo, and I got to give a shout out to Samuel Bilo as well, our only American driver in the race today.
Yeah, Bilo, the only American driver, like you said. Most of the field is Canadian as Bilo now takes a dive to the left side of Alu Gobi. Gobi gonna fall back just a little bit here, falls to 3rd as Bilo gonna work his way up into position number 2 and try to close that gap on our leader, Brandon Hawken. Is Gobi not going down without a fight either? You can see Alu Gobi setting up for a run here on driver's left, crosses over, gonna look to the right. We'll see if Alu Gobi is able to get there. Not this time, gets back in line, takes advantage of that draft. As this battle has been absolutely phenomenal as Bilo nearly charges a little bit too hard, nearly goes off on driver's left, able to gather it back up as Gobi going to get back in line in position number 3 as the battle continues.
I don't think Bilo is going to be able to hold off Gobi on this one. They're too close together. Hawken is secretly going to be absolutely hoping that these guys keep fighting, because every time they fight, it seems to give him just a little bit of freedom, a little bit of a chance to get away, but they're still getting the draft behind him. You almost end up, you're not battling. If you're Bilo or Gobi, if you're on 2nd or 3rd right now, you're not battling to try and get, retain 2nd position. You're battling to get Hawken's draft. That is the name of the game right now. You need that to stay ahead.
Absolutely. Let's take a look a little bit further back. We have a fantastic battle here still for positions 5, 6, and 7. That is George Griffiths, Zen Carr, and Kyle Mayer all together as Mayer goes around.
Oh.
Kyle Mayer, right when we go to this battle, we immediately give the commentators curse. Kyle Mayer goes around, but the white flag was just displayed, Zippy. 1 lap to go, and actually we have another battle a little bit further back. It's Dennis Barkhouse and Danius Ramanauskas That's a name right there that you and I are probably going to butcher, and we do apologize. We'll try to nail it by the end of this 4-round series. But this is the battle for position number 14 as we have to jump back to the front. White flag was displayed, and this battle is absolutely on for the race lead here. Zippy, Hawken, Gobi, and Bilo all together here. The top three duking it out for the first victory of this series.
Oh, they definitely, I've got to say as well, they've kept it clean. It's very respectful. And a little shout out to Mayer as well. That was an absolutely fantastic rejoin there. Just a little bit of a burnout and off we went. But you can see here, Gobi making a final run, a final stabbing attempt at Hawken. You can see Hawken defending the inside line. Now, myself, CTMP is not my best track, but I can defend it like it's the...
Contact!
What's the big wall? Oh, a little bit of a nudge. They're almost wheel inside wheel at this point. This track may be wide, but when you want that position, it is not wide enough. Absolutely dominating the real estate market at this point. You can see Hawken ahead. He's going to have to defend on the inside. Is Gobi going to make a lunge? No. Bilo, he's coming along in third. A little bit of an off track, a little bit of a wiggle. They're going to bring it down to the line. Second and third.
What a race.
Bilo. Oh, that was tight.
Hawken takes it over Alu Gobi and Samuel Bilo, the top three. Christopher Chung in fourth, Zenkar fifth, George Griffiths in that sixth spot with Joe Nagy in seventh, and the rest of the field has just wrapped up. Kyle Mayer in ninth, just behind Josh Peters, and rounding up the top 10 is Spencer Reitsma.
In 11th place, we've got Joseph Yang, Patrick Alex in 12th, Dennis Barkhouse in 13th. I'm assuming these guys have crossed the line at this point. My apologies.
They have.
Oh, good news. Danis Romanuskas, a little bit better that time, in 14th.
Progress.
Keith Stein in 15th. Stephen Vivian in 16th. Eugene Cartini, he is your race organizer. Clearly having a better time with the organizer than he is on the track at this moment. Sorry, Gene. Fair play on that one. Scott Outram in 18th and Doug Meadows there in 19th. Almost a 20-car field for the debut round of the F1200 Drivers Championship. Sorry.
Yeah, you got it. The Canadian F1200 eSport Championship presented by the F1200 Association. As we do have the second race gridding up here, let's take a quick look at the starting grid. And the way that this works, Zippy, I don't know if we mentioned it already, is the finish of the first race will set the lineup for race 2. Finish of race 2 will set the lineup for race 3. As we take a look here, Brandon Hawken on the pole alongside Alu Gobi on row number 1. Samuel Bilo and Christopher Chung make up row number 2. Zen Carr and George Griffiths in row number 3. Row 4, Joe Nagy and Josh Peters. And rounding up the top 10, Kyle Mayer and Spencer Reitsma.
In 11th place, we got Mr. Joseph Yang in the 551 car, Patrick Alex alongside him. Dennis Barkhouse in 13th with Danis Romanuskas. Getting better. In 14th. Keith Stein in 15th with Stephen Vivian alongside him in 16th. Eugene Cartini 17th. Doug Meadows 18th. And Scott Outram in 19th. Now, I've got to ask very quickly, Robert, do we have any points for things like hard charger? Is that something that, you know, that these guys are potentially thinking about as another tactic?
I don't know that we do, Zippy. That's not a piece of information that we were given. If there is a bonus point for that, but if there is, that's definitely something that's going to come into play. We've seen some drivers work their way to the front as Alu Gobi has gone off and towed.
That's interesting.
That is a big moment right there as the pace car is off and we are green. We'll have to keep an eye on that as Gobi was one of our top runners here in the early portion of the races. We got an incident towards the back. That's Patrick Alex backwards on the racetrack. He's also towed pit side. So Gobi and Alex already sitting in the pits here in race number 2.
Well, it is the first you have to finish in order to score points. But the good thing is 19th place does actually score 22 points. And there is 2 drops per driver. So while it's early on, I wouldn't want to be using up any of my drop sessions. Probably not a bad idea that they're there. certainly something to think about. If you come first, you get 100 points, so something to keep in mind as well. But we can see there, Brandon Hawkin is absolutely pulling away. Bilo right behind him. I'm sure he's going to be having a very keen eye at Hawkin, keen to have another go at him and see if he can potentially get that pole.
Yeah, absolutely. You know Bilo's going to be a stronger contender in this round, as race number 1, of course, had to duke it out with Alu Gobi. We have another incident back here. Scott Outram and Keith Stein involved. Let's take a look at that one. We'll see what just happened to cause this incident between these two drivers. It looks... Ooh. Looks like Outram does have a blinking moment, comes back, and pops right into the side of Keith Stein, sends Stein around. And unfortunately for these drivers, that is going to send them all the way to the tail of the field. As we were looking at that replay, though, Samuel Bilo has jumped out to the race lead by 0.2 of a second over Brandon Hawkin. As I think we just had another incident on the racetrack. Joe Nagy has gone off. He's able to collect it back up and continue on. This race a lot more intense than race number 1 with the incidents on the racetrack, as you see Patrick Alex now rejoining the field just ahead of the leaders.
Well, definitely there is a lot to fight for here. Certainly, you know, that real life prize, people will be very aware of that. I mean, how often do you get a chance to get behind the wheel of a real race car? I mean, myself, I debated actually, you know, not commentating this and actually driving it myself, because I would love to do that. Did I just see another spin with it?
Oh, that's a big... Ouch. Oh my gosh, that's a huge one.
Oh dear. The only way I could describe that would be Skittles there, Robert, and everybody got to taste the rainbow at that corner at that time.
Some Skittles there. This is Alu Gobi. I don't even know if this tied into the same incident, but Gobi had a wreck on the racetrack. No, it looks like Gobi just went off, but this one involved Kyle Mayer, Joseph Yang, Patrick Alex, so many drivers. Let's see if we can get a good peek at this one. All starts with just a little bit of contact. It started up ahead of these drivers, but wow, that was a big one. But we do have to jump back into the field as we see a gaggle of cars here. Eugene Cartini has already jumped 9 positions on the racetrack. Zippy, of course, taking advantage of adversity. What a shot right there. All these drivers coming over the hill. But Cartini up to position number 8 here. Started way back at the tail of the field, and he's involved in a great battle here as Christopher Chung goes off. That was our 3rd place driver. So another incident on the racetrack.
Oh, what's happening here though? They're trying to come in the pits. Oh no, don't pull out there.
Oh my.
He did.
George Griffith, Scott Outram, Joshua Peters, Christopher Chung, Alu Gobi, Joseph Yang, all involved in another incident right there. This is getting crazy. Now, as Eugene Cartini is up to position number 5.
Well, I'd like to say it's all racecraft, but at this point, it's race 2's been more of a blooper reel, I'd say. It's got to be a blooper reel at this point, you know. We advertise a beautiful, high-quality racing, and this one, you know, watch race 1 for an example of that. This is more, you know, a comedic couple of areas, and it just goes to show as well, you know, when you know you've got 3 races, sometimes you will be a little bit braver than you might necessarily intend to be, certainly, and we're going to see what happens now. You see Hawkin, he's keen to get that 1st place back. Bilo ahead of him, but all the action is happening further down the field. As I look here, about, I'd say 5th place down to 12th is all in your shot right now. Absolutely
wild.
And that's quite... It's a lot of points difference. So if you look at 5th, you're getting 64 points. If you look at 12th, you're getting 36. So these guys are motivated.
Absolutely, as Eugene Cartini just lost 3 or 4 spots in one set of corners. You can see these drivers back here towards the tail of the top 10 absolutely having a ball out here, pushing each other all around the racetrack, battling for positions. As we jump up to the chopper view here, just look at how close they're getting and how little space they have, as I believe that, yeah, that is Eugene Cartini just falling back. He's going to parachute it. As we're just slipping and sliding all through this racetrack, trying to find where we belong out here, but these drivers having a absolute ball in this midfield.
I think there's a little bit of preservation instinct going on with Cartini. You know, he wants to finish the race. He doesn't want to necessarily become part of the sandwich between multiple other drivers, and I can understand that for sure. You see, the thing is as well, I can imagine certainly, you know, I think he races on triples, but if you're used to driving the real thing, you're going to be more aware of what happens if it goes wrong. And, you know, race preservation is one thing. Now, I find as well, you get different kinds of drivers. You get some guys who can lap quick, clean, lap after lap, and then you get other guys, more myself, who aren't necessarily the best guy at that, but when you get a bit of racecraft going, that is their element, and I think that's what we're starting to see here.
Doug Meadows now goes off into the meadows as he's going to spin around into the grass, gathers it back up. He's going to continue on. Just about everyone has been involved in something here this afternoon in race number 2, except for Brandon Hawken and Samuel Bilo, as these guys, they're just out for a nice battle at the front, trying to pull away. As you see right there, Danius Ramanoskis falls back just a little bit there to position number 5 as he gets passed by Joe Nagy. And we saw Nagy in an incident earlier tonight. Now he's been able to battle back into that 4th position. And a driver we haven't really said much about here in race number 2 is the 3rd place driver of Zen Carr. Carr started back in that 5th position, so not too far back. A top 5 in race 1, now standing on the final step of the podium currently in race number 2. This has been a great start to the night for Zen Carr.
Well, as I look at the paint job he's got there as well, potentially, you know, he's a big John Travolta fan, Olivia Newton-John, and he is going like grease lightning, trying to just get that 3rd position, get those points. And, you know, I'd say he's having what really turns out to be like a perfect race for him. You know, your 3rd step on the podium, you're not having anybody really contending you. You know, you're not under a lot of pressure, and then you can see the 1st and 2nd ahead of you, you know. One little tangle from them, and he is set free to go and take the checkered flag.
That's exactly it. As we do hop on the nose here of Zen Carr, like you mentioned, you can see the leaders just up ahead as they're getting set to hit their way on the Andretti straightaway. Zen Carr not quite close enough to take advantage of that draft, but just close enough that if something goes wrong between these leaders, they can easily come up and take those positions. So nice job tonight here by Zen Carr. We're going to jump back to the battle for the race lead. It's Brandon Hawken and Samuel Bilo duking it out once again for those top 2 positions. Hawken holds the spot. Bilo wants the spot as they're going to come around and set their way towards that start-finish line. And Zippy, like you mentioned, you've never been here before in person. It's on your bucket list. Would you want to just come and spectate, or are you going around this racetrack?
Oh, if Gene gave me the opportunity to get behind the wheel of a car, I'd bite myself for not doing it. I would absolutely love to try it. I have seen another person actually who's gone from sim racing to driving this track, and it was quite a high downforce car as well, and something that the sim doesn't necessarily put into perspective is the sheer size of the cojones you need to go through, like turn 1, like flat out, for example, turn 2 more so, flat out. I mean, it is an incredibly scary corner, you know, like, it definitely is something. You need a different kind of mentality, or like a different level of confidence to just get in and do that. Myself, I would get in, I would do the most embarrassing lap time to start, and then as I got more seat time, more comfortable with the car, got more familiar, then I think the gloves would be coming off, and I'd be keen to see just what I could do.
That's exactly it with me as well. Any racetrack you go to, you want to have a chance to go around it. You want to drive around the circuit. I mean, just for me this past summer, I was able to work with IndyCar Radio for the Honda Indy Toronto, and I got to go around the circuit on a golf cart. That was such a cool moment. It wasn't very fast at all, but we were able to go around the track and just experience it. So really good time as we watch a battle here. This is actually for position number 15. It's Joshua Peters holding the spot over Joseph Yang. These drivers, again, battling for every single position on the racetrack, because in a series where you do have 12 races over 4 rounds, you want to get any points you possibly can to minimize the damage of your bad days so you can maximize those good days as well. And that's what we're seeing there in that battle for 15th. But this battle right here has been absolutely phenomenal. 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th all together here. It's Vervaen, Mayer, Stein, and Barkhouse all together Rietsma not too far behind either, as you see a couple of them go way off, reminding me of the end of the NASCAR truck races here, where the drivers would just absolutely send each other into the outside wall, and a couple of them would tackle each other after the race as well.
That is the one thing I never quite grasped yet on NASCAR. I mean, I didn't have NASCAR where I grew up, but I seem to come over here whenever I see it. It seems to be like, you know, we're going to try and go around this track, but every now and again we're just going to basically ignore that and hit each other, and occasionally a punch up after the race. I mean, it is great entertainment, but I'm kind of mixed feelings about, you know, if they just go around in the oval, it does get a little stale for me personally. But then if there's a big accident, it's like, yeah, this is kind of cool. But then I feel bad because if they get hurt, I'm like, well, I shouldn't enjoy that, if that makes sense. But right now, as we see here, we've got Bilo hot on the tail of Hawkin. This battle has been going on through race 1, through race 2, and I don't think it's over yet. With 3.5 minutes yet to go. Is Bilo just going to sit back? Is he going to just kind of try and time his pass? Is he going to go potentially and make his last move around the final corner? We'll have to wait and see.
Yes, we're going to hop on board here with the American driver, Samuel Bilo, trying to set himself up for an opportunity to get by Brandon Hawkin. Hawkin, the leader here, has been one of the better cars of the night so far, as has Bilo himself. Both of them, of course, finishing on the podium in race number 1. Hawkin, the winner of race number 1, as I do believe we would have just taken 2 laps to go. We may face the white flag next time by, as these drivers are working their way towards the tail end of race number 2 here already. The night just flying by, the opportunities to gain positions on the racetrack also flying by. As you know, the intensity about to pick up majorly here, as we just saw Kyle Mayer and Keith Stein duking it out for 7th and 8th on the racetrack. Keith Stein went way off on the right side, able to gather it back up and push his way to that 7th spot ahead of Mayer, now chasing down Steven Verveyen, who works his way up in position number 6.
Well, we're going to be an interesting part about it as well. Where you've got these big draft trains, it is not hard to have a huge change in position in just one stretch. As you go down the Marion Andretti straightaway, certainly that last lap, you're going to want to make sure that you are at the front of that train. If you move 4 or 5 positions, the points impact can be huge. And where the drafting is such a big deal on these cars, you know, there's a lot to play for, yet still with the race to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Still a lot to play for as we see the battle here. It's Verveyen trying to make a move on Danius Ramanauskas, as they are going to go side by side up the Andretti straightaway. It's Ramanauskas on the right side, Verveyen there on the left. Verveyen able to work his way into position number 5, as like you mentioned, those big shuffles for position. As we take a look, white flag displayed, 1 lap to go. It's Brandon Hawkin and Samuel Bilo out front, and they have 6 seconds over Zen Carr, who has another 6 back to Joe Nagy. So these two at the front have had a flawless pace here tonight.
Well, I just want to bring a huge amount of attention to the best lap of Brandon Hawkin and Samuel Bilo. The best lap is actually separated by 1/1000th of a second. I don't know if I direct it, if they can pop up a graphic showing that. If they could, it would be awesome. If not, he's he's got a lot to go. And the reason why is because you're my co-commentator here, Robert Hill Jr. is actually directing as well. So huge power to him for multitasking. I can't even do one thing, as you can see
there. You go.
Wow, that's tight racing.
They have been so close here tonight. That is phenomenal. What a drive by these drivers, keeping each other honest throughout this entire race, pushing each other to the absolute limit, and still running essentially the exact same time as we have the battle. Here we go.
Bilo's going to have a really hard time if he stays on the outside. Certainly whenever I've defended here, you want to hug that inside line as you go round turn 8 into the S's. I'm going to stay with this battle right here for the lead. 5 seconds left to go, but we know that it's going to be the start-finish. Is he going to defend? No, he stayed wide. It's given Hawkin the chance to go on the inside.
One last chance, Zippy.
Oh, he should have defended, in my opinion. But hey,
I think he just gave that checkered flag away. As they come out of the final corner this time, checkered flag once again. It's Brandon Hawkin. Hawkin, Bilo, and Carr will be the top 3 here in race number 2. They're going to get the top 3 spots to start the 4th race. Joe Nagy comes across in 4th. Danius Ramanauskas is going to take that 5th spot as the battle's on for 6th. It's going to go to Keith Stein with Dennis Barkhouse in 7th. Kyle Mayer 8th. Stephen Vervain in 9th. He did have an incident on the last lap as Spencer Reitsman rounds out the top 10. Doug Meadows, Eugene Cartini, Alu Gobi, George Griffiths comes across in 14th. And there's Josh Peters and Joseph Yang as we still have a battle for position. That's Yang on the left side. Peters on the right. Is Yang going to take the spot? We'll see who gets it at the line.
Well, he pops back into the draft there, just trying to grab a little bit more momentum. And you can see here the inside line being hugged, and I think that's the line you're going to need to take to try and defend it. It does put you on the outside for the next corner. They're almost a line of 3 wheels there. Wow. Is it going to be enough? It looks like Yang on the inside. He hooks over going into the white final corner. White's corner. It's going to have a little bit worse exit speed. Nose to tail.
Wow.
Photo finish. Wow.
Joseph Yang gets it at the line. A virtual tie for position there as we get set for race number 3. We're going to have a quick warm-up session for these drivers to step away, use the bathroom and whatnot. But now is a good time to give a little bit of a shout out to those that make this happen for us here, starting with illustratedtracks.com. Visit illustratedtracks.com today to purchase racetrack posters, F1 prints, race car wall art, and much, much more. Of course, the folks at Epic Racewear on board with us as well. Visit them at raceshirtscanada.com, your home for all of your racing apparel needs, from shirts to hoodies, tank tops, and everything in between. Epic Racewear, a great partner of the Canadian Formula 1200 Championship, and the folks at CustomPolycast.com, home of the VeloStack. VeloStack is a revolutionary new way of thinking in the design and manufacturing of velocity stacks. Building on decades of proven technology, VeloStack propels the concept into the future of power optimization. By utilizing high temperature, high yield, moldable materials combined with a variable length inlet stack and a radical new surface treatment, VeloStack represents the next generation in air induction technology for performance motorsports application. Visit them at CustomPolycast.com. And Zippy, once again, why don't you let us know about this QR code that you see on the screen right now?
So that QR code will take you over to the Cancer Research Institute fundraiser I am organizing. It is something that I do for Daytona 24-hour every single year so far. Well, I say every single year. It's my 4th year doing it. Anybody actually who donates $100 or more, that's Canadian, so you guys in the US, even better bang for buck. If you donate there, by all means, send me your email afterwards. Reach out to us here at the channel. Leave a comment on the donation page. Do it however you see fit. Contact me as soon as you can, because anyone who donates $100 or more, I will happily put your name or logo on the race car. It's going to be an LMP2 tomorrow. I say race car, the virtual race car. Not fortunate enough to own a real race car, but that's okay. It's all right. It means I'm here able to present for you here as well. And I will say as well, a little note on that custom polycast just now. So those velocity stacks look absolutely fantastic. Now, Robert, did you know that if you have a short velocity stack, I believe it actually gives you like a higher torque? If you go for a longer velocity stack, it will give you less torque but more high-end power.
So I'm just to sound like I'm smart, I'm going to say yes, I absolutely knew that, but I have no idea.
It's all about
they do look really cool
intake. Though. Yeah, I'm looking at them thinking they would sound absolutely mint on my E90 328.
Absolutely. As we have a couple minutes remaining in this warm-up session for the drivers, we're going to take a quick break ourselves, and when we come back, we'll bring you race number 3 of the Canadian F1200 Championship, round number 1, right here on Podium Esports. Don't go anywhere.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hey sim racers, you want to drive this?
Are you ready to go from sim to reality? Podium Esports is proud to present the Canadian F1200 Championship. Beginning January 19th, this 4-round series will hit the track at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park using the Formula V car for 3 20-minute sprint races and a full hour of wheel-to-wheel, pedal-to-the-metal, heart-pumping action. For just $50 Canadian, you too can have your shot at the grand prize of a test session behind the wheel of a real F1200 car at the Toronto Motorsports Park. Don't miss out. Head to podiumesports.com today to register.
And we are back here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's round number 1 of the Formula 1200 Esports Championship. And Zippy, we are on the grid here for race number 3. Let's take a look at the starting grid and see who's going to roll off from the front row. Of course, once again, Brandon Hockin and Samuel Bilo make up row number 1, with Zen Carr in 3rd by finishing off the podium. Joe Nagy in 4th. Row number 3 is Danias Ramanauskas alongside Keith Stein. Row 4, Dennis Barkhouse and Kyle Mayer. And rounding out the top 10, Stephen Vervain alongside Spencer Rietzma.
In 11th place, we have Doug Meadows alongside Eugene Cartini. And if you look a little bit further back, we got in 13th, Lou Goby having that mysterious issue at the start of race 2, alongside George Griffiths. Joseph Yang in 15th, with Joshua Peters alongside in 16th. Christopher Chung 17th, with Scott Outram in 18th. And then Patrick Alex, sadly not having the best luck tonight. He is in 19th. And I will just give a little bit of a shout out to Danis Romanuskas. He was our hard charger for race 2, 9 positions gained.
Very solid race there for Danias Romanowskis, and he's going to start there in row number 3. We'll see how he does here in the 3rd race of the night. Of course, once again, for those of you that joined us in progress, we are running a 4-race series, 3 15-minute sprints per race, and the winner of the overall championship will get a free test day behind the wheel of a real Formula 1200 car later this year at the Toronto Motorsports Park. Pace cars off, Zippy. We're getting set to go green, and Brandon Hockin has already found the loud pedal. Here we go. Race number 3 is underway.
As you can see there, Hawkin is going hot on the gas pedal into turn 1. Bilo not far behind him. Carr, Maher has had a spin. I heard it before I saw it, and oh my gosh! I don't believe they do 10V bowling. I think that is a new sport, but certainly not one that you'd want to do on that test day. A little bit of carnage there.
Little bit of carnage there, Zippy, as we'll watch and see what just happened to these guys. Eugene Cartini was involved in that one. Kyle Mayer goes around. Don't even think the incident involved him. There's Dennis Barkhouse, Danias Ramanauskas, Kyle Mayer, Doug Meadows, Eugene Cartini, Christopher Chung also involved in that one. Then Keith Stein went around. He gets collected.
Oh,
I'm not sure who that was. I believe, yeah, I don't even, that's Danias Ramanauskas right there. So we lost about 6 cars in one corner.
That's not bad going, you know, statistically. I mean, it feels like we're watching the Hunger Games at this point. May the odds forever be in your favor, but one way to avoid an incident like that, you know, just do the Hawking approach at this point. Go out on the front and run away with Bilo. I mean, that's basically, these guys have been 2 peas in a pod. It's almost a little bit of a bromance going, but you know what? I'm okay with that because it means that we are certainly we'll hope to interview them a bit later, but I am going to absolutely poke the pair of them and try and create a little bit of rivalry between them.
Rivalry is definitely something we want to see amongst some of these drivers throughout this series. Of course, we do see a couple drivers getting a little bit close back here. That's Joseph Yang, Alu Gobi, George Griffiths, and Josh Peters, as Keith Stein now pulls at pit side. But this series has such a big prize attached to it that you know naturally the rivalries are going to come, the intensity, the aggression. Everyone's going to be battling so hard for those positions on the racetrack that we're going to see carnage a couple times throughout the season. And we just saw it right there in turns 1 and 2 here at the start of race number 3.
Oh, absolutely. And certainly, you know, the big thing as well is when you've just gone and done a car and you've just done a race and the tires are hot, you're going to get in the car and you're going to think it's going to handle the same. And even if you accept that it doesn't, mentally, it takes quite a lot of adjustment to just dial it back just at 10, 20, 30% just until the tires get up to temp and, you know, it's back to the car that you used to drive.
You're exactly right, as Brandon Hocken does continue to lead this one. Samuel Bilo just behind, but Zen Carr not falling off too far here at this point. And just behind them, another battle. Steven Vervain, Spencer Reitzma, and Joe Nagy, as we're going to go side by side. Vervain and Nagy, actually Vervain and Reitzma, and Nagy just right there. He's going to try to get into that battle as well, as Yang and Griffith swap position. There's Gobi involved as well. Peters right there. Oh, that got close. Gobi and Griffiths nearly come together. Gobi and Yang now able to pull away from the rest of that group, as the racing absolutely phenomenal here so far. Another battle here. Vervain and Reitzma once again going to be side by side. That's Vervain on the left side, Reitzma on the right, and that was Joe Nagy just trying to stick his nose up the middle to let these drivers know that he's here and he's ready to battle.
He almost got a free nose job courtesy of Vervain there. You know, it was just throwing in a little bit hot. But certainly battles everywhere, and that's one of the things we want to really, you know, point out to you guys at home. You know, if you want to get involved in racing online, well, you know what, iRacing is a beautiful platform to do it, and then why not join the F1200 series? Not only does it give you a chance to, you know, race and have, like, it's such a varied field here, but you'll have somebody to race with, somebody to go up to toe-to-toe with. But not only that, if you do really well, you could potentially be driving the real thing. You know,
that's exactly it. Sim to reality opportunities, as we have an incident on the racetrack. Patrick Alex goes around. He was involved with Scott Outram. Outram able to continue on, but Alex just now getting that machine spun back around here as the battle for the lead is on. Here comes Zen Carr to the left side, Brandon Hocken on the right. We're going to be side by side for the race lead. Hocken with the advantage. Carr trying to get their car to the top step of the podium here in race number 3, a home that Hocken has made so far here tonight. As the battle for the lead continues, the battle further back also continues as Vervain nearly gets pushed off the racetrack by Reitzma.
Oh dear, you can see this battle is definitely not over yet, and certainly if you're Nagy at the back of that, you know, do you gonna go in hot, or do you want to just try and, you know, wait it out, see if these guys take each other out? Do you want to just kind of, like, you know, see if you can pull away as a pack from the people behind you and then just concentrate on, you know, securing the points that you do have? You know, how high risk strategy do you want to go at this point?
You gotta be somewhat aggressive without being overly aggressive, is the way I'm looking at it. Is we have multiple packs out here on the racetrack. You have the top pack with Hocken. Actually, Hawkins pulled away a little bit as Carr is now battling with Bilo. Then you have Vervain with Reitzma and Nagy, with Yang back here with Griffiths, Gobi, and Peters. And then it's back here to Outram as Vervain goes around.
Oh,
Vervain goes around. Let's see what just happened. You just mentioned a little bit too much speed for Vervain. Exactly what happened. Everyone avoids Vervain, and Vervain does a really nice job of keeping that car off of those other drivers is we've actually had a pass for that second spot. Zen Carr gets by Samuel Below.
Grease lightning, you're gonna win the quarter mile. Grease lightning, go grease lightning.
Welcome to Karaoke with Zippy. Next up.
Yes, sir.
Next up, I don't know. What's your next song, Zippy?
Believe me, I'll think of it. I remember one time in a stream, don't get me wrong, it was an endurance one, but in the space of about 15 minutes, I think I managed to reference 8 Katy Perry songs. You know, I see it as an additional challenge and humorous opportunity here in the broadcasting studio.
Well, Zippy, do you ever feel like a plastic bag floating through the wind?
I don't know where you're going with this. Do I dare ask?
That's from a Katy Perry song as well.
You see, I was hot and cold, just saying. Anybody
hot
who's
and
now
cold,
tuned
buddy.
out, I apologize. I really apologize.
Well, if they tuned out, they won't be able to hear your apology, so they'll think that you didn't apologize.
They're going to hear me roar.
Look at this gaggle back here. Joe Nagy, Alu Gobi, George Griffith, Spencer Rietsma, Joseph Yang, Joshua Peters, all together. Oh no, Joe Nagy goes off the racetrack.
Oh dear, the one that got away, and yes, that was another Katy Perry reference. A firework going off as they go through Moss Corner.
Oh man. You are full of it tonight here, my friend, as Joshua Peters now going to fall back. Wheel-to-wheel contact back here between Griffiths and Yang. That's for position number 6. These guys aren't battling for the win. They're battling for the 6th spot, and they're going wheel-to-wheel.
I mean, it's never really over as well. Like, part of me is absolutely, like, just rooting for Yang to get a clean break. I've raced with the guy. He's good. He's clean.
Oh!
I'm expecting more from him, to be honest. As I see Alu Gobi is dropping through the standings, that is not the preferred line.
That was a massive, massive hit for Alu Gobi right there. Taking a look once again at that number 1 machine. That's unfortunately going to affect multiple cars in that one, as Joe Nagy gonna go off to pit road. Spencer Rietsma headed pit side as well.
It's definitely been a race of high action, certainly really hot, really spicy in this last race of the evening. Yeah, we're on race 3, that's right. And looking at the hard charger right now, we've got 3 people who've gained 10 positions, but currently Joseph Yang, he is in 4th place, 11 positions, rise above the pack.
Yeah, that's Joseph Yang right there in the 551, up 11 positions, started 15th today. Now finds himself up there in the 4th spot. Steven Verveyen, he's going his own way out there on the racetrack. He's able to gather it back up as now Below gets by Zen Carr. It's Samuel Below to 2nd, Zen Carr back to position number 3 as they're all trying to chase down Brandon Hotkin, who's now 4.5 seconds up the field here. What a drive by Brandon Hotkin, but this battle definitely just getting started between Zen Carr and Samuel Below, as Carr going to take advantage on the right side. Below back here on the left. We'll see if Below goes for a bit of a crossover. Not quite.
He's going to have the better exit speed, as you can see there. Right coming alongside, but he is on the outside there of Carr. It's not going to be the preferred line through turn 1, but certainly turn 2 it is a really good position to be, albeit slightly terrifying. Certainly, as you look at Brandon Hawkin, he is the one that got away, and that brings us up to 7 Katy Perry references.
We'll see if you can drop a couple more throughout the final few laps, but Brandon Hotkin has been a man on a mission here tonight. 5.5 seconds ahead of Zen Carr and Samuel Below. That's the gap from 1st to 2nd and 3rd. Joshua Peters back here with George Griffiths and Joseph Yang. They are 4th, 5th, and 6th as now Peters takes over the top gain of the day. He's up 12 spots so far, with Outram and Patrick Alex still up 10 spots. Just a little bit behind him here as somebody just revved the heck out of their engine. Not sure who it was, but didn't sound like they were having too good of a time.
Well, certainly another thing to think about as well. Let's talk a little bit more about the car. The Formula V is it's an air-cooled motor. You know, it is no radiator. It is literally air-cooled, based on the Volkswagen Beetle platform as well, and it actually makes it, you know, quite a, you know, like a lower tech car in some ways. It's a little bit more user friendly, being like some of the technology from like the 50s, 60s, and into even the 70s as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those classic cars here on the iRacing service. Such a cool vehicle as well that these drivers get to be behind the wheel of today. And Zippy, I'm really excited to see whoever wins this championship get behind the wheel of a real F1200 car in a couple months. I'll have a chance to go down there and spend the day with them as they do their test session, see what they can do behind the wheel, see if they can run competitive lap times, and all of course, the big thing is have fun, as we have just taken 2 laps to go. Zippy, 2 remain for Brandon Hockin, and he has a 7-second lead.
It's fair to say at this point his race is in the bag for him. All he's got to do is run clean laps. You know, absolute stonking performance of the night. But certainly, Robert, you're going to have to set up a little camp bed for me or something, because I do hopefully plan on coming down over it as well. You know, it'd be a good excuse for a road trip. Saying that, my car that I drive through my winter beater, it's not been the most reliable. It currently has a optional clutch.
Oh, Bilo around!
Oh, no! Bilo with the spin!
Bilo gets sideways, but here comes Peters and Griffith about to catch up to him. Brandon Hocking going to pull away. Zen Carr also going to pull away, as this is now going to be a massive battle for third. Bilo, Peters, Griffith, Yang all together.
Oh, it's bon appetit for that second pack of cars. They are looking at Bilo.
Look at this.
He's gonna be the dog's dinner at this point. He has 3 people behind him who all want that third podium spot. There's a minute and a half to go. I got a feeling it is about to get juicy.
White flag displayed, 1 lap to go here tonight. And it's Brandon Hawkins seeing the white flag once again. Of course, he has been the dominant car here tonight, and he is well on his way to taking the points lead after round number 1. As we see the battle now, it's Peters, Bilo, Griffiths, and Yang all together. We're going to see who's able to get there, who's able to take that top spot as we get lost. Here we come, watching the field battling for those 4th, 5th, or 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th spots side by side. It's Bilo and Griffiths battling for position. Once again, Hawkins, he's way out there. Zen Carr's way out there. This is the battle on the racetrack right now. Griffiths, Bilo, and Yang all together, 4th, 5th, and 6th on the track. Another battle behind them as well, as everyone just trying to get every position they possibly can here, Zippy.
Oh, it's definitely going to come down to the final run down that Andretti straight. You know, where you position the car on that straight at the end of that straight is going to set up where you finish at the end of the race. You know, if you can get a good draft and then hug that inside line, assert dominance, make that V as wide as possible, that is going to be your best chance of success. I do remember actually doing a race one time. I was, you know, it was a broadcast race, and it was just pure entertainment for the commentators, my lack of pace but defending abilities here. And that's what Peters is going to have to do if he wants to hold on to that 3rd spot. I don't think he's going to get away with it, though. Griffiths is having a run. Yang's having a row. Bilo's getting in there as well. All 4 of them. But we're going to have a quick look as Hawkins comes across the line. 3 races, 3 wins. What an absolute stonker of an evening for Brandon Hawkins.
Yeah, Hawkins able to run away with the checkered flag here, as this is the battle we're watching as we have contact. Bilo, Yang, and Griffith come together, and it's going to be Peters coming home 3rd over Samuel Bilo. Joseph Yang comes home in 5th. Stephen Vervain 6th. George Griffith falls all the way back to 7th, with Scott Outram crossing the line in 8th. Patrick Alex gonna come around for the 9th spot, and rounding up the top 10 here in race number 3, Zippy, is Joe Nagy.
We got Chris Bachung there in 11th, Keith Stein in 12th, Danis Romanuskas in 13th, Spencer Reitzman in 14th, Alu Gobi, the success from the first race and then was not able to repeat that in race 2 and 3, there in 15th, Dennis Barkhouse in 16th, with Doug Meadows, Eugene Cartini, and Kyle Mehrhurt closing out the field. Quick shout out as well, Joshua Peters, the hard charger for race 3, 13 positions gained. Absolutely phenomenal drive.
What a drive. What a drive by Josh Peters, able to take advantage of that last lap melee that just happened coming to the line. But as we watch here, Brandon Hawkins, coming around, he's going to go celebrate. He won all 3 races here tonight. What a drive to open up the series. We're going to take just a quick step away, Zippy, see if we can get some of these top 3 finishers into the booth for an interview. Otherwise, we'll have a quick chat with Eugene and see how his night went and what he thought about race number 1 of the Formula 1200 Esports Championship. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Podium Esports.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hey, sim racers, you want to drive this?
Are you ready to go from sim to reality? Podium Esports is proud to present the Canadian F1200 Championship. Beginning January 19th, this 4-round series will hit the track at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park using the Formula V car for 3 20-minute sprint races and a full hour of wheel-to-wheel, pedal-to-the-metal, heart-pumping action. For just $50 Canadian, you too can have your shot at the grand prize of a test session behind the wheel of a real F1200 car at the Toronto Motorsports Park. Don't miss out. Head to podiumesports.com today to register.
That makes more.
And we are back here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, just wrapping up round number 1 of the Canadian F1200 Esports Championship. And now joining us in the booth is our winner, Brandon Hawkins, standing by with Zippy.
Brandon, an absolutely phenomenal evening for you. Tell us a little bit about any tactics you had going. Walk us through your evening so far.
Man, yeah, that was pretty crazy stuff there. That was a lot of fun. It was just extremely difficult to try and make a gap. So if you were within about 1.8 or so seconds, you had a bit of draft, and then once you got closer, it just amplified. So I wasn't quite sure what to do going in. There's a couple, like I've raced like MX5s quite a lot as well, and so I have a little bit of experience with some like draft train kind of races, and you kind of want to stay up towards the front so you don't get shuffled back, but also that puts you in a really bad spot on the last lap when everybody's ready to pounce. So I felt like I had some good speed, and I was just hoping there would be maybe one instance where I could get I think in the first race it was Alou and Samuel. I was hoping they'd get side by side, and hopefully I could pull away and maybe make it so that their draft was a lot weaker, but they stayed right on me, and I wasn't sure coming out of that out of Moss on the last lap of the first race, and they both had a ton of speed, and we ended up 3 wide there, and I think I didn't think I was gonna be able to pull it off if I tried to like stay where I was. So I backed out a little bit and then tried to get the run again. And man, yeah, just there was a little bit of a gap on the inside, so I took it, and that was a lot of fun. And yeah, second race there with Samuel, we were playing games with each other, trying to get each other up ahead on the last lap, and yeah, it was just a lot of trickery going on. You know, it's when the cars, when the like racing's so close and there's like such a long straightaway with tons of draft, you gotta do whatever you can to try and get an advantage in the last couple corners. And yeah, man, that was just a lot of fun, lot of strategy involved, and yeah, I had some really good clean racing up there. That was some really good stuff.
Well, honestly, it's the first time getting to interview you here. Definitely don't think it's going to be the last. You sound like you are absolutely buzzing on cloud nine, the adrenaline going through you. I don't know what you had in your coffee, but I definitely would like some. But certainly, the first night of the season, you know, I'm looking forward to see what else you can produce. And I'm actually going to poke the bear a bit. I'm thinking there's going to be a good bit of rivalry between yourself and Samuel Bilo. So even though you may have got the better of him tonight, certainly going into the next race, is there anything, you know, are you going to like, are you going to practice? Are you going to, like, what are you going to do to prepare for, you know, round two?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, it's all about like I think just you know, getting that strategy down towards the end, and getting all you can out of the car at any moment you can. It's like when you're like this much on the throttle, you need to kind of maximize everything. And I was I was trying to get all I could out of the car, and you know what? I'll keep practicing, see if I can squeeze out a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a really fun few weeks here. Got some great competition, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it because man, yeah, we had some really great racing here tonight. Just I think it's just going to be a taste of what's to come in the coming weeks. I know there's going to be lots of guys improving and getting better, getting closer. And yeah, I wouldn't imagine or wouldn't be surprised to see, I don't know, maybe like 6 cars, 7 cars, maybe 10 cars. I don't know, all in a nice train there towards the end. So you know, I'm just gonna try and squeeze everything I can out of the car, and that's yeah, all I can do, I guess. Yeah, just try to do that and make sure I follow the right strategy on the last lap.
Well, you definitely managed to pull that strategy together tonight. Brandon, is there anybody you want to thank?
Oh yeah, just like to thank you guys and everybody who set this whole thing up. This is it's a really cool opportunity. Like I'd absolutely love to get to test like a race car. That'd be so awesome. I kart raced for 10 years, but you know, getting that like. Being able to like get that like step up from that'd be so cool to try. So I'm yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I love racing at Mossport, so you know I'll definitely be looking forward to the remaining rounds, and yeah, we're gonna have some great competition to look forward to coming up. So yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody involved, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Brandon Hawkin, not just for your single race winner. He won all 3, absolutely cleaning up through the field tonight. I understand my colleague Robert, he has caught up with the second place finisher for race 3, Zen Carr.
Yeah, Zen, it's Robert Hill up here in the booth. You got a copy?
I do have a copy. How are you?
Great. You had a great night here tonight. You finished 3rd in race number 2, 2nd here in race number 3. What's your summary of tonight's events, and how do you think you've set yourself up here after round number 1?
Okay, so the plan is to figure out who the quick guy is, get behind him, and I had trouble. I got fooled on the first start completely, had no idea it was going to be like that. So I tightened it up for the second and the third, but once I lost the leader's draft, I wasn't going to catch him. You know, had I stayed with the leader, you know, you have the outside chance of that you can kind of like trick him into a mistake, but the lad had pace. He had great pace.
He absolutely did have pace here tonight, but like you mentioned, get behind the quick car, follow him through, and try to learn from them. Is there something in particular that you learned here tonight, Zen, over the 3 races that you can take towards round number 2 coming up in a couple weeks and see if you can knock yourself up another step on the podium?
I think that if I start at the front, I could keep people behind. I was just defending like for the life of me, like the last handful of laps, It was just all, once I realized I couldn't catch the leader, it was just keeping second. I think the trick is trying to just get in front for the first race, and try to keep all the nonsense behind you.
That's definitely the goal. And if you were given the opportunity to get behind the wheel of that real F1200 car, how excited would you be?
I would be terribly excited. I don't want to thank everybody who's organized this. It's an awesome, awesome kind of contest. I'm surprised that more people are. I think people are going to jump all over this in other places, because I can't wait to see the video of whoever the winner is driving around a real car.
It'll definitely be a cool moment, Zen. And before we let you go here tonight, anybody you want to thank for the support and getting you out here onto the racetrack?
I'd like to listen. I want to give a shout out to iRacing. I have a love it hate it relationship with them, but one of the things, people that are running stuff on iRacing, I think everybody should be supported. Whether they're doing sponsor giveaways, which I've been winning a whole bunch of in the last little while, or organizing stuff like this. Just expanding the community is always in everyone's interest.
Absolutely. That's Zen Carr, your second place finisher here tonight. And Zen, we'll see you in a couple weeks' time right back here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Have a great night, all.
You as well. Well, Zippy, that was our top two finishers here in race number 3. What a night. What a night we just had to kick off this series.
For sure, and I do believe I've managed to catch up with Joshua Peters as well. Now, I understand you're having a couple of mic issues. Joshua, are you there, sir?
Yes.
Ah, Minty, good to have you in. Now, you were actually a hard charger for race 3, so tell us a little bit about how you managed to secure that third podium spot.
Yeah, that last race there was just a battle. Started 15th, and I just dodged a lot of wrecks to get up there, and then just kind of stayed in the slipstream and minded my own business, really.
Well, it's definitely a good tactic to have myself. Sometimes I don't have the raw pace, but the racecraft is everything. So going into round 2, is there anything like that you've learned from round 1 that you're going to take forward with you? Like, is there any like strategy changes, perhaps a different line now that you've seen some other guys run with you, what have you learned from round 1?
Really, it's just going to be about qualifying, in a good position. If you're starting in the back, it's you kind of have no chance in really catching up with the top pack there. So it's really all about your qualifying.
I could definitely see that as well, because if you qualify near the back, you got to really attribute acquire. I can't think of attain positions, because it kind of escalates as you go throughout the evening, whether the positions are reflected into the next race as well. But Joshua, I got to ask as well, obviously the grand prize being the chance to get to drive the real car, have you had any real life track driving experience yet yourself, or was this going to be like a debut for Joshua Peters, future race car star?
Yeah, no, that would be the debut for sure. I've never really raced a car on a track, so yeah, it's for sure something I'm shooting for.
Well, I'm definitely going to be rooting for you here in the studio. Now, is there anybody you want to thank as well?
Just myself, really. I put in some practice, and I'm really happy with the results. I think the next session is going to be a lot better for myself.
Well, that was Joshua Peters, ladies and gentlemen, and we wish you the best of luck. But Robert, what can you get from round 1 here at the F1200 Drivers' Championship?
Yeah, it was definitely a solid opening round here, Zippy. A lot of great action, a lot of great drivers, and the battles we saw throughout the midfield show me that if these drivers can find that extra couple tenths on the racetrack, we could have 3, 4, 5, even 6-car battles for the win each and every race and each and every round. So I'm excited to see what the future has for us here in the Canadian F1200 Esports Championship. But Zippy, what about you? Some final thoughts from tonight?
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Don't get me wrong, Brandon Horgan, he kind of had a really good break, a good start. You couldn't have had it going any better, but I don't think it's going to be the end of that. I think people are going to be a little bit more, not relaxed, but a little bit more, withdrawn at the start of the races next round. I think you're right. We're going to see 6, 7 cars going for the lead, and it could almost become down to a roll of dice to see who's going to get to win it. I think that certainly there is a lot to be said as well. As Joshua Peters was saying, you need to qualify well, because once that pack gets split up, it kind of, it it influences the rest of your races throughout the evening. So certainly, another tactic to keep in mind. I do want to see more rivalry as well going into the season.
Yeah, rivalries would definitely be exciting to see out there. And what a great round. Of course, we have to thank everyone that tuned in at home, Zippy, for being here with us. Everyone as well that helps put this show on. But let's quickly talk to Eugene Cartini before we head off here tonight. Zippy, you are standing by with Eugene. Let's see how Eugene thought of round number 1.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for bringing me in here. Listen, from where I was, it looked like it was a really good time, really good show. Battles up and down everywhere, and just as expected, packs of cars together, back straight, turn 1 touching. So, as expected, looks like everybody had a good time. So I'm very glad on how event number 1 turned out, and three more to go.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fantastic series as well. Great attendance as well. Was it 20 people signed up already, 19 so far? And as far as I know, applications are still open. If you want to come and race with us, by all means, hit us up. We'd love to see you on the grid. Now, Eugene, I'd love to hear a little bit more, just a short, say about a minute segment, a bit more about this prize that's on offer, because this is going to be what the people at home, they're in the sim racer, not everybody has the means to get the chance to drive a real race car. So put that idea in their heads, put the seed there and grow it. I want to see a beautiful flower. Tell us a bit more about it.
Of course, yes. For those, hopefully everyone does know what the grand prize is, but if they don't, it's going to be a full test session and a race-ready real F1200 race car at the Toronto Motorsports Park, and that'll take place. We're going to aim for before the start of the actual 2024 F1200 championship season, so that'll put us around the April timeframe. But yeah, race ready, no holds barred, and it's going to be a great session. So definitely looking forward for the winner to come on out and try that. And I've let all the registrants know as well that second and third, obviously not a full hosted ride, but there's a car available to them at a subsidized rate from the F1200 Drivers Association Club. So it's going to be great. And just one more point on the registrations too, Zippy. People may have missed the first event, but there's 3 more to go, and our championship includes 2 drops. So, there's still a chance.
Absolutely as well. And Eugene isn't aware yet, but there will also be hopefully a subsidized rate for any commentators who wish to take an opportunity to drive that car. Now I need to put my co-host Robert in his place and show him exactly how fast a driver I'm not. But
hey, we're going to need a benchmark, so maybe.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was the F1200 Championship. Any closing thoughts, Robert?
Yeah, what a great round. Like I said, it was an absolutely phenomenal way to kick this off. Exciting to see so many great drivers come out here, take part, and try to charge their way towards an opportunity to take sim to reality with the Canadian F1200 Drivers Association. And Zippy, this is only the start. This is only round number 1. Still 3 rounds to go. And the next round, of course, does kick off February 9th. So 3 weeks time, we'll be right back here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for round number 2. Another 3 races of 15 minutes in length to put on a show for you folks at home. But Zippy, any final thoughts from you before we hand it off?
Well, it's been an absolutely lively, action-packed start, and I think there is plenty more of that to come. Certainly, I do want to see an even bigger field, so if you're at home, if you're thinking, what, I should try this. Well, as you've seen here, there is a battle for everybody. The iRacing field is actually vastly spread out, and even as you saw, like Brandon Hawking with his 7600 IR, he was under close competition there from Samuel Bilo. He's 1767 IR. I mean, that is an absolutely monumental gap, and they were going wheel-to-wheel action. So, you know what? If you're thinking about it, why not come on out, have a go, Give it a whirl. That prize session, definitely worth giving it certainly a good look. And not only that, the quality of race online as well, just phenomenal, Robert.
Absolutely phenomenal here tonight. But Zippy, that'll just about do it for us here. On behalf of myself, Robert Hill Jr., that was Daniel Salmon, also known as Zippy. Of course, we got to give a shout out to our social media master, Cameron Obernon, and the guy that makes all this happen for us, Ryan Bauer. He couldn't be here with us tonight, but he'll be back for round number 2. And thanks to you at home for tuning in. Once again, this has been Podium Esports bringing you round number 1 of the Canadian F1200 Championship. We'll see you in a few weeks' time for round number 2. Have a good night, everybody.
Hey, sim racers, you want to drive this?
Are you ready to go from sim to reality? Podium Esports is proud to present the Canadian F1200 Championship. Beginning January 19th, this 4-round series will hit the track at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park using the Formula V car for 3 20-minute sprint races and a full hour of wheel-to-wheel, pedal-to-the-metal, heart-pumping action. For just $50 Canadian, you too can have your shot at the grand prize of a test session behind the wheel of a real F1200 car at the Toronto Motorsports Park. Don't miss out. Head to podiumesports.com today to register.